Hello everybody, I'm Steve and welcome to Green Side Up. Now today I want to compare this new, mostly finished tunnel with my 5-year-old big tunnel. There are a couple of quite major differences apart from the size obviously, but this cover was only just going on the 10th of June this year, and as such I started planting this on the 14th of June and I didn't even have any blooming doors on. Now this tunnel's nowhere near finished, it's still got lots of work to be done to it through the winter this year, but I just want to show you the incredible growth. Bear in mind I planted my baby sweet corn in there on, I think it was the 14th, and tomatoes grown from side shoots off my Crimson Crush tomatoes in the big tunnel were planted on the 18th. That's just 6 weeks back. So I'll take you in there now and just show you the growth. So starting on the outside, I've still got gutters to put on this on the outside, and on the inside, well, on this other side, I still need to put the roll down shutters on. That needs fitted. There is still no furniture on here. I'm just tying this up with a piece of string at night, and there's no threshold down there underneath the doors, they're just hanging. There's no furniture on these doors, so this all needs sorting. Still need a path to go down there. I've got the flags at the front of the plot, and the whole tunnel needs a proper digging over before I can carry on with next year. And I also need to put some temporary benching in here, similar to what I've got in the smaller tunnel. But let's have a look at the growth in here. Now all these tomatoes down this side were all grown from seed early part of this year, and they're racing away. They're doing incredibly well down here. But this is what I wanted to show you. This growth is just phenomenal. Bearing in mind, this was all small plants that I planted 6 weeks ago. I mean, look at this corn. It's nearly 8 foot tall. It's starting to flower now. These tomatoes were all grown from side shoots, and when they were planted, they were about 12 inches tall 6 weeks ago. But the growth in here is phenomenal, and I think it's because of these back doors and because they've remained closed that this is why we're getting such good growth in here. And yeah, we are getting fruit on these plants now. There is fruit coming, so on these side shooted plants we're going to get a second free crop of tomatoes because we simply planted the side shoots that we were taking off the plants in the big tunnel. Melons are going crackers in there, and again, you know, the melons that are planted in the small tunnel to scramble along the ground are nowhere near this vigorous, and it's through the warmth in here, and I think it's just the space. Now it's a bit difficult because at the start of the year I put these plants in just to test, just to see how well it grew. It grew plants in here because I wasn't sure, because it might blind you a little bit. That's the sun's direction. It's just coming over the top of my tunnel. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and the shadow line, you can just see it along there. So the sun's been on this tunnel now for probably about an hour, I would say. So that's 7 o'clock in the morning, and when you consider the sunrise is here, up here in Cumbria, about 4:30. This is why I wasn't sure if this tunnel was going to be any good for growing, because I kind of wondered if it would get enough sun because of this tunnel being in the way. But it's exceeded all my expectations for 6 weeks to do this. I mean, we've also got aubergines on, and they're ripe and ready. They're going to be picked this week, and more over here. We've got fruit on the tomatoes, non-ripe yet, but you know, give it a chance, give it a break. It's only been in 6 weeks, but it's just phenomenal growth that I am very much overjoyed with. So it's actually changing my plans a little bit for how I want to grow next year. And we'll go into the big tunnel now, and we'll show you a couple of problems and resolutions in there as well. And then hopefully I can come to some sort of a conclusion as to what to do next year. Okay, we're at the front of the large tunnel. We'll just go in. Now what generally happens with this tunnel, as you can see now, the front door is open and the back door is open. This, if I just slowly spin you around, the pathway comes up from the gate over there, comes all the way up here and into this tunnel and through here with a bit of a dog's leg all the way down to the back of the plot. This becomes a bit of a corridor, and it was causing me some issues with these Ildi tomatoes at the front here. I've got a line of Ildi tomatoes all the way down the front here, and at the back the Crimson Crush, which you could see are doing all right. They're fruiting and ripening, and we've had plenty of them already. The Ildi, these little orange ones at the front here, haven't done so well, and I figured what was happening was the wind in the daytime. Whilst I'm here in the mornings and the doors are open, the wind is whipping away the moisture down this central area, and it wasn't humid enough for the tomatoes to set and to grow. Now I've resolved that. I came to the conclusion that I just needed to water this front bit a little bit more, which I've been doing, and now, as you can see, we've got fruit setting. Now that could be a combination of the plant is ready to set, or just that what I've done with the soil has worked. But these Ildi are an early variety, and if they were going to set, they should have done it much earlier in the season, because they are an early cropper. And I think it's quoted something like 55 days to harvest, which I don't know, it seems a bit quick to me, but anyway, that's now solved. Another issue I've got in here, and I haven't cut them out so that I could show you. If you can see these grapes, if you just concentrate on the grapes as I move the camera around, you can see these black shriveled bunches. This is a common, or not so common, it's a problem with grapes that they call shanking, and various things can cause this, such as too much water at the plant's roots, not enough feed, cold early temperatures. All these things can alter how the plant grows. Now I've whittled these problems down. There's a list of about 10 of them, and I think I know now what it is. I think that there's too much competition in here, and next year these two beds where the tomatoes are, there won't be any. They're all going to move into that other tunnel that we first started in, simply because the tomatoes do so well in there. All my tomatoes will be grown in that back tunnel next year. These beds will grow lower growing crops, so things like peppers, for instance, and what that will do is that will open up the area behind these tomatoes, because there is a bed along there. At the minute it's junk, because it's in shade, because of these tomatoes. It doesn't really grow anything. It has in the past, but not very well because of the tomatoes. So I will plant that next year, and that will take away some of the overwatering problem that I've got at the roots of this grape that also caused the shanking. I'm also going to get drastic with this plant and remove the lower vine of this grape plant, of this vine, which will allow me better access into that back area. So hopefully the shanking problem will be solved, because there'll be plants there drinking the water, and I should get better plant growth in these beds all over. So that's the plan with that. I'm going to move all these tomatoes into the back and open up that back area. I'm even considering putting some temporary bench in there for early in the season. I have got a few other ideas of what I might like to use the area for, but we'll see how that progresses as we get closer to spring. These plans are likely to change at a moment's notice, but for the minute I just think that if I grow tomatoes in this tunnel, I'll be so much better off. These were all planted as extras as a trial, and I've got a dozen plants down this side. I've got 16 in the others, and I reckon 24 plants is probably enough for me. So I could fill this bed, have a double row bed just along this side here where these green beans and aubergines are, and still have space for other crops lower growing, because the sun follows this arc around the tunnel. So this is in full sun for most of the day from about 8 o'clock onwards in the morning. So that's the rough and loose plan where we're up to right now. So I just had to show you the incredible growth in that new polytunnel out the back. It's blown me away. 6 weeks and those plants are just bouncing along, and we're going to get plenty of fruit off those tomatoes. We'll get cobs off that baby corn very soon, which will be fantastic. So as I say, it's really thrown a spanner in the works. It's made me change things around, but I've done it with a purpose in mind. As I say, this grapevine isn't exactly thriving. I say there's a couple of things that could be an issue with it, so I'm going to alleviate those problems as best I can. I'm going to move all the tomatoes into that back tunnel for next year, because they will work in there, and trim the grapevine up, remove the lower tier, which will just leave me with the middle and the top tier, which should be out of the way of everything, and I should be able to get around these beds nicely, and the sun will be able to get in. I'll also remove all this timber up here. I know somebody commented on an early one, and you were right as well about the sun not getting into these tomatoes. You know, you put one piece up and then one becomes two and two becomes three, and before you know where you are, you've made a sunshade. And I could also mulch this bed as well, and that would solve that problem, but it doesn't solve the whole overall problem. So that's why I just went for the watering as I first thought it would work, and it appears to be working, so I'm quite happy with that. But all the other ideas, they were all viable and true ideas. Right, so I mean, that's it for this video. Now my next video will be planting. I'm going to get a lot of planting done in this tunnel. I have a lot of plants up along my hanging shelf here to get in, and there's plants coming on in the small tunnel. So that's really what August is about for me, is planting, harvesting and planting. So we'll get on with that. But that's it for this video. Look after yourselves everyone, stay safe. I'll see you very, very soon. Ta-ra now.